Kamado Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Coley. We are the brother-sister anime duo. And not in a love you like a brother-sister kind of way, but as in go ask our mom, she's the same person.
This show is an anime lover's safe haven catered toward the average anime lover, free from spoilers.
So today's episode is going to be the Netflix's live adaptation One Piece episode 6. So let's get started.
All right, so we kind of open up the episode with them taking care of Zoro. We have head chef Zeph stitching up Zoro in the kitchen. He says some things about the fish that, you know, such and such thing helps him heal faster. Was it like some what do you had looked up something about this, right? What was that?
Yeah, so what was said in the show was that so they were skinning the fish and all the pirates were confused, like, what are you doing? Why do you need the skin of the fish? Why do you need a fish to help Zoro? So Chef Zeph explains that this is an old trick that he used when he was a pirate, that if anybody ever had any injuries, you would skin the fish and you'd apply the skin to the wound, and it helps the wound heal faster.
And reduces infection too?
Yeah, so when I was looking this up, I'm like, is this actually true? Like, is this actually like a legitimate thing, or is this kind of like an old like legend myth kind of wives' tale type thing? But it actually is true. So the fish skin has antimicrobial, whatever that word is, properties where it helps reduce infection, but it actually does help increase like the recovery process. So it can also reduce pain then too. Wow,
that's so interesting how they brought in something like factual like that into the show, because I don't think we really had that. We really didn't get a whole lot in the anime in general with how they took care of or treated Zoro. I don't think, did we?
I don't think so. But it was pretty cool. So I guess if you're ever stranded out in the wild somewhere and you get injured, find a fish, skin it, and apply it, and that'll help you out.
Yeah, unless it's only the particular fish that they had at the time. I forget what kind of fish that was. He might have mentioned what kind of
said
fish
it was a yellowtail, I believe.
Oh,
but
okay,
I think it's
right.
any fish skin.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So very interesting.
Yeah, very. So we don't really know in the anime, you know, they didn't really show that. We don't really see a whole lot of them taking care of Zoro. It's like who took care of him? You know, maybe it was Usopp, maybe it was his two fellow, I don't know what you call them, like
bounty hunter guys.
Yasaku and Johnny, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. But of course they're not in the live action, so you kind of have to sort of skip over some of the stuff that they were a part of.
Yeah. So while Zoro's unconscious and they're all kind of looking over him, they're told by Chef Zeph, like, just keep talking to him. Like, he may not be conscious, but like they can hear you while people are unconscious, people can hear you. So of course Nami is like, I don't know what to say to him. So she starts telling him a story. And of course this story is the Line Noland story, which if you're an anime watcher, you remember what that's from?
Yeah, references Skypiea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So the Line Noland story was how he talked about a city of gold and got his king to bring all these people there, and there was no city of gold. So everyone assumed he was a liar, and he got put to death.
And I think a lot of it was because a lot of people died trying to find the city that had, of course, now is in the sky. And so it was kind of like some sort of, I don't know, I guess punishment or whatever. But yeah, that's a very nice little Easter egg, hinting ahead to Skypiea, something that, you know, if you're not an anime, you're like, okay, whatever, she's just reading them a story. But an Easter egg that, yeah, they really make good use out of every little second that they can get in this and this Netflix series. They're trying to put so much into these 8 episodes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So moving on, we had also kind of had the conversation that Luffy and Sanji kind of made a connection that, like, Sanji's not happy there. Why are you here, man? And he's like, have you ever had somebody lose a limb to save you?
Yeah, and Luffy's just like, oh, you don't even know. We'll get into Sanji and Zeph's backstory a little bit later. Of course, we have that meeting between. They're all about Garb and Kobe, right? Garb and Kobe.
Yeah.
This series. We had that meeting between Garb and Hawkeye, Mihawk, with Kobe eavesdropping. I don't know. What do you think of that? Of course, that's a little different than the anime. Well, I actually like how they did the interaction between Mihawk and Garb, because in the anime he just departs, and I think that's awkward how he just leaves like that. Here they're acknowledging it a little bit more. He's saying like, yeah, I left, but I think your grandson's gonna do big things, and I want to see what happens. And I think kind of smoothed that out a little bit. But what do you think about that and their whole, I guess, interaction in general, and that whole scene there?
I really liked that they added that interaction. I feel like it kind of helps fill the gaps that were visible in the anime, because you kind of, it just kind of, like you said, it was kind of just an awkward appearance that Hawkeye, Mihawk just like shows up to the Baratier and like duels Zoro, and then he just is like, okay, I'm out, bye. And so of course the conversation between Garp and Mihawk didn't go how Garp would have liked, and so Garp is mad and destroys his office, so you really get to see his display of power once more and how strong he is. But so then of course he finds Kobe out there
just eavesdropping on the whole conversation. And of course, Kobe talks to Garb a little bit, and now we don't know what exactly Garb is gonna do with this plan, but it seems like they're really gonna buckle down and really try to figure something out here really soon with catching Luffy.
Yeah, hatching a new plan. So Kobe was just like, Luffy's always been a pirate. Like, you're not going to be able to just capture him and convince him to not stop being a pirate.
So it makes me wonder what approach Garb is going to take now. It seemed like he had some sort of like aha moment. And like, well, what are you going to do differently now that you haven't done in the past however many years with Luffy? So
time will tell.
So yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure we'll find out. But let's talk about how Sanji and Zeph met and their backstory. We got to see baby Sanji and Chef Zeph in his prime.
Yeah, Red Leg Zeph and Sanji, pretty close to the anime. I mean, I think the main difference was they met kind of inside the ship as opposed to out of it. They seem to have this sort of running, I don't know what you call it, joke or saying with oregano. Like, what's the deal with oregano? Like,
oregano's for savages.
Yeah. It's like, I just see kind of funny how that, so they connect that to the the past to the current days where he says that. But yeah, that just seemed kind of funny that they picked that out of all things.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool that Chef Zeph kind of acknowledged his cooking skills. Like, hey, you're not bad for a kid, but like it needs oregano.
Yep. So anyway, so they get marooned on the island, 85 days, and is that the same as the anime, as the live action? Do you happen to know? So
I don't believe they actually like say out loud we were stranded for 85 days, but in the anime, Sanji does like scratch into a rock, like he tick marks as the days progress. So probably if you paused it and counted all of those, you could, it would count to 85. But
I bet they seem to have so many details they pay attention to in this live action that you could watch through again and catch little Easter eggs.
it was really cool how they showed the passage of time with this, because like the kid was just sunburned and they were both filthy, and I felt like they did a pretty good job. I mean, of course you can't make like the kid look skinnier during filming unless you do makeup, so I thought the sunburn that they did on his face was really cool.
I agree. There's not a whole lot you can do, but yeah, you see their clothes really tattered over the course of time, and let's see what else was there that showed just the island in general. I wanted to say, like, I thought that was almost spot on to the anime.
It was cool that it was basically just a big rock. It was completely barren, like you couldn't scavenge for food, like what you had was what you had.
And the flashbacks where the characters are kids in general, I thought the actor who played Sanji, the kid actor, was great.
Yeah, he did a really good job.
Yeah, I thought so too. Of course, you see Zeph, and the guy who portrayed Zeph, also very good, that actor. He really did a good job, and they kind of like in the anime, you see him not change, but kind of grow, and like Sanji really like, when Sanji tells him his dream of finding the all blue, he's just like, oh man,
this kid's just like me.
Yeah, so you just kind of see that, and then he kind of just becomes this kind of father figure to him, and even gives up a lot for him.
So do you think that's the reason why he jumped in to save Sanji when Sanji fell overboard?
I think so. I think I think at that point in time he had a soft spot, because remember, he was about ready to kill him, and whether he actually was or it was just a threat.
Yeah, I think had that moment of connection not occurred, maybe we wouldn't have an adult Sanji. Maybe it would have just been Zeph.
Oh, I'm sure he would have died then, because yeah, he pretty much was, you saw Sanji about dead. But yeah, so yeah, it's interesting how he says, I owe you my life, and all this throughout, and he always maintains that I owe you my life, but it was kind of Zeph's fault that happened, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know, would their ship have crashed like that, and the storm would the storm still have crashed it, or was it like they destroyed their ship in the pirate raid?
So the storm was really bad, so I don't know if both ships would have capsized regardless with there being that really bad storm. I mean, maybe if they were far enough apart they would have been okay, but yeah, it probably was the pirates' fault in that instance, because I'm sure they've experienced bad storms before, and it probably wouldn't have completely destroyed both ships, having them crash into each other.
Yeah, but nevertheless, Zeph saves Sanji, whether whose fault it was or not. The ship's crashed, and they end up on this island, and Zeph just continues to sacrifice, take care of Sanji. Of course, giving him the food, right?
Sanji that whole time just thought, this Zeph guy is just such a jerk. He took this huge bag of food, and I get this piddly little baby bag. And when he goes over there to steal his food, he realized this whole bag, this whole time, there was no food in it, ever. There was never once any food in it. And then he sees, like, he figures out, well, you had to have been eating something this whole time. Like, how are you alive?
Yeah, and of course he sees his leg, and come on, man, you weren't going to share that? Yeah, no, he's just like, oh my gosh, you ate your leg, and which actually raises a good conversation we had during actually really we talked about it after the movie, but I remember, I think it was you, or I think you said, like, what? He cut off his leg and ate it? I'm like, yeah, of course. That's exactly like, no, he lost it with the anchor, the chain. I'm just like, no, that was the 4Kids version.
So when he was saving Sanji, his foot got caught in the wreckage of the ship. So an anchor came down and he cut off his leg to save Sanji is what happened in the anime.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Toei Animation did that too. Because see, I grew up. I'm gonna show it here, and hopefully you could see it on camera. So what I did is, growing up, I read the manga. Then it came out on 4Kids TV, and then many years later, I picked it up again when I was just on Funimation. And I'm like, well, I've already read and seen all that, so I skipped ahead. So I just thought that was the 4Kids version, but Funimation did the same thing as 4Kids in this scene. But you see this thing with, I don't know if you could, hopefully you could see it on camera. Let's see. Zeph says, "I don't want to die." So is this the end of Zeph's red shoe? And then you see him right here with the sharp rock, cut off his own leg, and that's the end. But anyway, so that's what I remember, and I didn't realize the anime hit. So they actually did what the original source material, the manga, did, not the anime in this case. And I didn't realize the anime and manga had done two different things.
I think that's just so interesting and so cool. Because I had wondered that in the anime too. I'm like, he's been shown to not eat at all. Like, how did he survive that long without any food? Mm-hmm. So to me, that makes sense to have it that he ate his foot. But I wonder why in the anime they opted to have
I think I know why. And both, I think the same reasons for 4Kids and Funimation. I think for airing this on TV, even for the, if it was like, different time or whatever, for the more adult version, I think they still thought it was too dark. So then they just took it out altogether and just did it that way.
Okay. I could see that.
I believe that was the reasoning for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, a little bit of trivia there. Okay, so up to this point, loved it. Mwah.
Perfect.
Chef's kiss.
Perfect.
From in my opinion. But it's when they get into replacing Don Krieg with the fight with Arlong. That I'm like, you missed so many details and characters there. I mean, I get it. This is only an 8-episode series on Netflix, and you gotta cram so much stuff. Yeah, you gotta trim the fat and really make every little minute count. See what I did there? Trim the fat and chef's kiss. All that was
perfect.
Anyway,
perfect.
So you have Arlong, played by McKinley Belcher the third. Belcher, I like that last name, Belcher. Anyway, and he has the two henchmen that appear, the Baratia, this kind of menacing gangsta feel, especially you even have the
cool
hip-hop music, or the kind of that urban. Yeah. Yeah.
It was just really cool that he just came in like swagger, all like menacing, and he's like, "I'm here to take back what's mine, my property." And of course he's referring to like maybe both Nami and the map. Like, I don't know if he like came for Nami or if he was just more so interested in the map. But do you think that he would have cared whether or not Nami was in the picture at this point?
Well, going from the anime, Nami was a really good navigator, and I think he needs a navigator because she was doing all the maps for him. And then that map to the Grand Line. So I think he did need Nami. So yeah, I would think he would want Nami back.
Okay.
Because I mean, I remember in the anime he didn't intend on giving her freedom, really.
Yeah. So I thought it was a really cool touch when they went into the Baratier and the host there was a fishman. Mm-hmm. They're basically just kind of like, "What are you doing here, man? Like, why are you serving the humans?" Well,
and it gets into, they don't say a whole lot at that point in time, but Arlong does say at this point, and I quote, "What's the matter? Never seen a fishman enjoy a meal? That's because you don't know any fishmen except for the ones who repair your ship and clean your house." And I wonder if he was referencing how throughout history, humans enslaving the fishmen through that, which they talk about in the Fishman Island arc. They get into the history of humans and fishmen. And then another thing, he talks about fixing your ship. And I wonder if they're at that point, if he's referencing, again, this is all referencing up ahead, Tom, who is Goldie Rogers' ship, right? He made Rogers' ship. That's in the Water 7 arc, I think is what it's called, when they're trying to get their ship fixed, and they talk about Tom at that point in time. So I wonder if he's referencing those two things at that point. Again, this whole series is just full of Easter eggs that you can appreciate if you watch the anime and you're ahead. But anyway, I wonder if that's what he was getting at.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, all the different little Easter eggs. So of course they show up, and we're kind of thinking like, how did they track these guys down? Like, how did they just happen upon them? And then you see Buggy's head pulled
Burpee
out of a bag.
As Luffy calls him. Burpee.
So they find out that Burpee or Buggy has been tracking them the whole time, which that didn't happen in the anime. His ear was just tucked away in Luffy's hat, in the band of his hat.
This whole section of the series, I feel like just went rogue, and that's why I've loved the series up until, I mean, I still like it, but at this point I don't like that they changed this many things.
I understand why they want to try to condense it and like get to the interesting stuff, because I mean, they can fight pirates anytime, but like a lot of people really, really liked the Arlong arc, so I think getting the Arlong pirates more showtime is, I think they were trying to get it to be a little more interesting, maybe.
Well, they have and again, they kind of cut out Don Krieg, but then they still have this fight happening at the Baratier, but it's just Arlong instead of Don Krieg. And then they kind of fast forward a little bit, consolidate probably Luffy's initial fight with Arlong, where he does get thrown into the water. You know, we're probably not going to see him shoot his foot up in the air and then crash down, and then he's stuck and Arlong throws him in. I think that's all we get of that, where he's like thrown into the ocean.
It was a relatively short fight, this sequence. But Sanji, just like in the anime, Sanji dove in to save Luffy.
Yeah, he was just sitting there with his shirt off, ready to go. You notice that?
Yep.
Instead of kicking his shoes off, go down, he had his shirt off and ready to go.
Abs all oiled up and everything.
He was doing sit-ups while he was waiting for that. Well, maybe, I doubt this, but what if Nami had tipped him off? Because Nami just kind of walked through, said, well, like, just throw him in the ocean, throw him in the sea. He's like, whatever, threw him in, and then Sanji was there ready to go. I doubt that happened, but you know, it'd be a variation from the anime, but
Nami didn't exactly want to leave the Straw Hats, but I mean,
when she figured that was probably, I bet she figured that was probably the best bet, like throwing him in,
option.
Hoping someone will get him, but that's better than Arlong just tearing into him, and then they're really done for.
Yeah, because then they'd have both Zoro and Luffy that they're having to put fish skins on.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Nami leaves then with Arlong, whereas in the anime, she just
runs away.
Sneaks off. Yeah, so she throws Zoro's two buddies overboard and then takes the Going Merry, whereas here, you know. So another variation.
You know, it's interesting. Like, they still included in the bar part, like, Nami trying to secure passage with a different pirate crew. Like, who can get me to Arlong's place? Like, how can I get away? But she doesn't end up even needing to do that.
Yeah, it does seem like precious screen time they used up for that, when they could have, you know, been doing, you know, something else.
They could have skipped that altogether if this is what they were gonna do.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe Nami didn't know that they were being tracked and that Arlong and his group were gonna come. So I guess it makes sense that she was looking for a way to like get back to him.
Mm-hmm. I guess now we get to Sanji's goodbye. And this is, I guess, another thing. I felt like I think the actor Taz, what's the actor's name again? Taz Skyler. Again, I think he does a phenomenal job.
He makes a great
with the
Sanji.
little bit of time they had doing it. And I think maybe they just didn't have enough time. But I remember in the anime, he just fell to his knees, sobbing. It was a lot more emotional.
I missed
anime.
that emotional aspect. Like this whole time, just Sanji and Zeph are just bickering. And in the anime, it really, really lays into the fact that they do really love each other and that they're just so appreciative to have had each other. And in the live action, it was just kind of like, see ya.
Yeah, that father-son relationship kind of like, but Zeph told him you need to go. He said no, but he's loyal to the Baratier, but Zeph wants kind of what's best for him, kind of like a father would his son. He like, I want you to go out and
Chase
your
your
dreams,
dreams.
basically, and
Go find the all blue.
yeah, it's just really relatable to every father and their son. You want your son to go and chase his dreams and what's best for him, and but yeah, so and yeah, he does, and it is an emotional part, but it wasn't quite as much as the
Tears were still
anime.
shed. Well, we'll have one last question to close things out.
Okay.
If you were stranded on an island like Sanji and Zeph were, what is one item that you'd wish that you would have with you?
Easy, cell phone. I'll just call for help. I have cell phone service, right?
I don't know.
Oh, I wouldn't have cell service?
Being on a big rock, I don't think there's probably cell signal out that way.
Oh man. What would you do? Or take? Only one item?
Just one item.
Oh,
That's
man.
all you get. So, like there was no shelter on that rock. And I don't know if there is a way that you could like set up a tent or something for yourself so that you could get out of the sun. I think I'd go for some sort of tent or shelter because it's just a big rock. There's no forest, so you can't like cut down trees and build your own shelter. It's just a big rock out in the middle of the ocean. So I think maybe I'd want a tent, and then I can kind of spear hunt for fish and hope for the best.
But you don't have a spear though, because you used your one item up on a.
Hey, in the mornings I take apart my tent, use pieces of the
Oh,
tent to
okay,
stab
okay.
my fish, and
Oh.
how I
okay.
cook it, I don't know. Maybe it's just sushi every night.
How you spear them from way up there either? I don't know either.
Oh, shoot. You have to wait for the tide to come in.
yeah. Okay.
Make sure you're really good at spear fishing.
Yeah, that's a very, very long spear. Well, it definitely have to be something that I was going to say food, if you learn anything from this episode, but what do you do when you run out of the food? So I guess it'd have to be something that you can catch your own food. So maybe like, I don't know,
Fishing pole?
fishing kit. Can I say
Okay.
fishing kit rather than a fishing pole?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
A fishing kit.
We'll
So
give it
it's
to
like,
him.
Learn how to catch your food, not just have the food and eat it, I guess.
Very fair.
Teach a man how to fish, he has, however that saying goes.
Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
There you go. Okay, yeah.
There.
That's what I was going
There
for.
we go. We
Something
got
like
it.
that.
We
Yeah.
got it. Audience, let us know what
Yeah.
you would pick if you were stranded on an island. What would you pick to take with you for your one item that you could bring with you if you're stranded?
Yeah, hopefully you come up with something better than us.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have
I don't know
a better
how
idea.
long. I don't know if we'd survive 85 days.
Yeah, I don't think I definitely would not. I can't even get through the day if I miss lunch. I'm a mess then. I'm very hangry. But all right.
Okay.
Well, that's all for today's episode of the Kamado Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Coley. Thanks for tuning in. Don't be a Kamado. Like and subscribe to our channel for more anime fun with your favorite brother-sister anime duo.
Now, new episodes come out weekly, so let us know what you'd like us to talk about next, and we will see you next time on The Kamado Show.